Garden. I'm Len Schroeder.
And I'm Julio Zamora.
During our first segment, Julio and I will tell you all about pH, how important it is for all types of plants.
If you're going to do one thing for your lawn, it would be applying a crabgrass pre-emergent. But what if you have bare spots? We'll tell you what to do in our second segment.
It's time to prune your roses, but what kind do you have? We'll tell you how to handle it in our third segment.
Sharon from Lodi called us with a question about growing potatoes in a barrel. Hear all about it in our fourth segment.
What's bugging me is rosette disease on shrub roses. Hear all about what you can do to stop it during our final segment.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back in the garden right after these messages. Bloomers in the Garden is brought to you each week by Bloomers Home and Garden Center. Bloomers is an award-winning garden center just 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Bloomers has been providing expert advice turning brown thumbs green for over 30 years. At Bloomers, we want you to ask us every question, even if you think it's silly. We share information in a friendly, non-judgmental way that is meant to teach and spread the joy of gardening. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center in Washington Township, Gloucester County. For directions, go to bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden. Fertilome's Triple Action contains 70% neem oil and 0.25% pyrethrins as a concentrate and ready to spray. It is an insecticide, fungicide, and miticide labeled to use on vegetables, fruits, nuts, herbs, spices, and ornamentals. This organic OMRI-listed product controls a wide variety of insect pests and diseases, including aphids, scale, spider mites, whiteflies, rust, leaf spot, and powdery mildew. This insecticide is an all-in-one bottle that will cure just about any problem you may run into throughout the year. Fertilome's Triple Action has been helping gardeners across the country for years. Best to apply in late evening and early morning hours. Mix 1 ounce, which is equivalent to 2 tablespoons in a gallon of water. The best part is Triple Action may be used up to the day of harvest. So the next time you are visiting your favorite garden center, ask for Fertilome's Triple Action and expect to have the best looking plants in the neighborhood.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider or see and hear us by subscribing to Bloomers YouTube channel. Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley every Saturday. First, wake up with us at 6 a.m. on WNWR The Word at 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. Tune in at 8 a.m. to Bloomers in the Garden Radio on Talk 860 WWDB. A rebroadcast of Bloomers in the Garden Radio is played each Saturday evening at 5 p.m. on The Word, 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard throughout the New York Tri-State Area on Classic Oldies, 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden. Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. pH. You hear it all the time. Oh, what's its pH? What's the pH? pH is something that's in the soil that's measured. And some people will say, oh, my soil's sour, my soil is sweet. They'll say it's acidic, it's alkaline. And the pH is the gatekeeper for plants' ability to absorb nutrients from the soil. So you can put tons of fertilizer down, but if your pH is off, depending on the requirements of the plant, it can't absorb it. You know, have you, like, you don't eat fast food.
No.
I do.
Yeah, I can tell.
Keep it up, skinny. Anyway, they use now paper straws.
Oh.
Where's Aaron? Aaron, at least I can talk to you. Aaron, what are you having? And Aaron has a cup of McDonald's coffee right now.
I see.
You see this straw?
Yeah, I see.
Paper straw.
Oh, wow. I don't use that.
And they stink because just like pH, it ends up where you can't draw any coffee out because the bottom closes off. If your pH is off at the roots, the plants can't absorb the nutrients out of the soil and convert it into the energy that the plants need. like his McDonald's coffee, probably within the next 10 minutes, he's going to be drawing on the straw and nothing's coming up. And basically, that's what pH is. pH is the gatekeeper. Okay. That being said, it's not something that you're feeding the plants to adjust your pH. We'll start with lawns. Lawns ideally want a neutral pH. So right in the middle is 7. Okay, so when you do a pH test or you go to your local garden center, and that will tell you what your pH is, and your goal is 7. Slightly below, if you're like 6.75, you're fine. You're fine. In our area, on the whole, pretty much East Coast, it's always a little acidic. And that you need, now Julio, Julio's quiz time. Yeah. Julio Zamora.
Yes.
For a bag of lime, do you need to apply, I hope he gets this right, do you need to apply something to adjust your pH if you measure it today and it's perfect?
You need to apply it every time.
You need to apply it to hold it where it is. Like I said, we have on the East Coast, especially in Northeast, Mid-Atlantic regions, that it is naturally acidic. So acid rain coming from like Philadelphia, New York, where it comes and it will make your soil more acidic. That it just happens to where if you did nothing, your acidity in your soil, and again, it would end up dropping. So you need to hold it steady. And there are rates of application, whether you use lime or our favorite, which is Magical from Jonathan Green, that you need to apply it at a rate that will either keep it steady or change the pH. So if you have to lower, you find out that your lawn is like really alkaline or really acidic, you have to apply more of the product. And most of the time it's going to be more acidic. Like say you go and you find out your lawn is at 5 something as a pH, you're going to have to increase that by putting down more and more. And it all has to do, like for instance, if you're using lime and your pH is at a 5, you have to put down 11 pounds per square foot in order to move it to 2 percentage points.
Wow.
So you don't get to rest. You've been hanging out all spring, watching the grass not grow.
And now it's time to get out there.
And you need to get your pH checked. Vegetables, do you have a vegetable garden? Get that pH checked for there. And if you've picking up on the trend, there are certain plants like your lawn, like vegetables. Vegetables want to be anywhere between a 6 to a 7.5. And that most vegetables are going to be like your lawn is, to neutral to 6.75. That's something where you get and you want to apply. And again, I would not use lime in the soil for that. I would use Magical, because Magical by Jonathan Green also controls tomato blossom end rot because it has calcium in it. And blossom end rot on tomatoes is a calcium deficiency. Right, Julio?
That takes care of that, huh?
That does.
Uh-huh.
All right, your landscape plants. Junipers, dogwoods, azaleas, rhododendrons.
That's right.
Rhododendrons and hollies, all broadleafed evergreens, even Japanese maples. They like to be at a lower level of pH. So they want to be around 6.5, 6.75. And when you apply a Spoma holly tone, that is for acidic plants. And that will adjust the pH to a degree. If your pH is real off, okay, then you want to use either the soil acidifier Biospoma, which I love that product because it's also the same thing with, we'll talk about hydrangeas in a little bit, but it will make your soil more acidic. Say you have the other problem, like we're talking about, where it's alkaline, you take and you have like an 8. Now, if you have an 8, you're going to use the soil acidifier to lower your pH. But if you're a low, like a 5 pH where you're low, and that's considered acidic, okay, the lower the number, the more acidic you are, the higher the number, the more alkaline you are. And what you want to do is you want to get that pH where the plants want to be. Now look, we get this each spring. At Bloomers, we will test for your pH. Most garden centers will do a pH test. But here's what not to do. Do not bring in 100 little baggies of soil and have us and expect us to test each one. What we want to do is we want to test your landscape beds, we'll test your garden, and we'll test your lawn. And what you need to do is get samples from those areas in multiple places and put them into one bag. And we don't need a lot of soil. Again, I don't want anybody bringing, more than a couple of cups, two or 3 cups, don't bring us 50 pounds of soil to test. For effort, but we don't need it. And that we can do the test. Often what will happen is people will bring in those 50 bags of soil and I'll end up dumping them into one, mixing them up to get an average. And that's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're trying to get an average of what that, for each area, for each type of plant you're growing. Again, landscape plants versus garden plants versus lawn. And again, perennial gardens, if you have strictly perennial gardens there, it's also in that same landscape category where 6.75 versus 6.757. So they're almost just like your lawn.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
When you have a pH level of 5, you're trying to, you're going to use your acidic, your lime.
Right. Lime or Magical.
Yeah, Magical. How long should a person wait to recheck that, knowing that it's a slow release type of
next year.
Okay.
It's not an instant. Lime, for instance, is limestone. There is different types. There's pelleted lime and there's hydrated lime, and there's different types of lime, but it still has to work itself into the soil. Because remember, you're not testing. You're not testing like something that's in the plant. You need to allow it to work in the soil. So really, you're putting lime. You're putting down again an aluminum sulfate for next year. You're not going to get the results right away. This is a long game, and that you're adjusting it. So next year, when you test the soil, you're going to see how good you did this year.
Wonderful.
So don't wait. Don't think, I'll do it, whenever. Yeah. Don't wait. Mm-hmm. Don't wait. Again, then the state, county agricultural department, your local county agent, like there's one for every county in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, they will test your soil. I'm not a big fan. Because more people get that test back and they're just like, oh my God, I'm short of molybdenum. It's like there's different, you get everything. And you'll become more confused. And it honestly, you
don't need it.
It's too much. TMI. You know what that stands for?
Too much information.
Right. TMI. We've mentioned Magical a couple of times and why we like that so much. Magical is so MAG, magnesium, iron, and cal. Okay, so it's magnesium, iron, calcium. Okay, that is a great thing. It is a super product.
Yeah.
The iron, first of all, magnesium good for root systems. Iron good for a dark green color in plants, and calcium is good for root system, the whole plant development, but calcium deficiencies in tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, all is that you get that blossom end rot, and that where it looks like a scab on the bottom of your tomato, it looks like, it looks like a disease, but it's not. It's actually a calcium deficiency. So again, that will absolutely do the best job. I mean, lime, sure, it's cheaper. It works okay, but it doesn't give you the calcium that you need and some of the other things. So it doesn't feed anything. It just adjusts the soil. So see, now it's like there's some things in line where it feeds it, but compared to Magical, it is definitely different. Let's talk about hydrangeas real quick. Hydrangeas are like the living litmus paper. So if you're hydrangeas, I want those blue hydrangeas, like down the shore. Have you ever noticed that down the shore that the hydrangeas are like super blue?
Super blue, yeah.
And to be honest with you, I'm not sure what they're doing, but I know that what you can do, they like a pH that just around the hydrangeas. If you want blue hydrangeas, and again, that's the macrophylla type, the round type that are either in pink or blue. And if you get a purple, that means you're like in between. So decide, I want to be in the blue camp or I want to be in the pink camp. If you want the blue camp, then you're going to go and use soil acidifier, aluminum sulfate, something where you want to lower that pH so the pH is lower. If you want a pink, then you're going to increase to be more alkaline. So you're going to use lime, and you can use the Magical and things around them, and that will change it. You want to continue using on all of your shrubs Hollytone, and absolutely use Hollytone, even if you're using the soil acidifier, because remember, this is all occurring in the soil, not necessarily in the plant. So it's changing things in the soil, not necessarily in the plant. The results are going to happen in the plant, but that's another show. Anyway, again, it's important if you have perennials and things, it's mostly going to be that 6.75 to 7. There's some vegetables that like it more alkaline. Just run down a few quick. That cucumbers, celery. Let's see. It's surprising. Geraniums are on the list that they like it a little more alkaline. That's interesting. And that's a 7 to 8 pH. Things that like it a little more acidic, 7.5. And again, we're 6.75 for most of these vegetables are ideal. And we're talking about beans and Brussels sprouts, and we're talking about corn and collards, garlic, lima beans, peas, peppers. So again, if you're in that range of that 6.5 to 7, you're golden.
Good.
You're golden. Good. So, and then don't get all hysterical that you check it each week or you one and done.
You're up by 0.1.
Adjust it, and then you'll check it again. If you want to check it in the fall, you can do that. But you don't want to think that like a Spoma Hollytone, for instance, will slightly adjust the pH, but not in a significant way. And like we started this whole segment, if you do nothing, your pH is going to go up, down.
Acidic.
And you want to control your pH. And in your landscape beds, you basically want to keep it on that lower end of the scale.
Beautiful.
All right.
Wow.
I'm going to have to take a nap. Yeah. Do you have any questions, Julio? Do you have anything to add?
How critical is the pH level? Wow.
Everything.
Yes.
Everything. And like we started off with Aaron's coffee right now, he can't suck anything up because that straw is closed. That's what the pH does. It stops the roots from being able to absorb the nutrients.
And then you're losing money on your fertilizer.
Oh, we get it all the time. My azaleas are yellow, and I keep fertilizing them every day. I don't know what's going on. How come? And what's your pH? I don't know. Yeah. And we find their pH is all alkaline.
Way off.
and way off, and just no matter what. So, all right, we've got to take a break because we are way over. That means the other segments are going to be short.
That's right.
Talk fast, Julio. I will. All right, we'll be back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden.
Are you looking forward to a spring of vibrancy while using the best organically approved growing media for your annuals and vegetables? Coast of Maine's Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter has been created to set a diverse culture ideal for germinating seeds and root cuttings. Created using the best ancient composting techniques and new age mixing devices, Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter gently combines kelp meal, worm castings, mycorrhiza, perlite, and sustainably harvested peat moss, establishing the most desirable setting to enhance new plant growth. Coast of Maine's Sprout Island Organic Seed Starter is available at these local retailers, or visit www.coastofmaine.com to locate one near you.
Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, PA. Ashcombs Farm and Greenhouses, Mechanicsburg, PA. Sickles, Little Silver, New Jersey. Wanting to up your game in the vegetable garden? With 90 years of organic gardening experience, the Espoma Company has you covered. Espoma Organic Garden Tone is not your average garden variety fertilizer. Garden Tone is especially blended for organic vegetable gardens. Its all-natural formula contains Biotone, a blend of organic ingredients that supplies essential nutrients for strong, healthy plants and mouth-watering vegetables. Its slow-release formula provides continuous feeding. The Biotone contained in Garden Tone is a combination of organic ingredients and beneficial microbes to help roots grow deeper and faster for bigger, more bountiful harvests. Garden Tone is simple to use and safe for people, pets, and the planet. No harmful chemicals or synthetic fertilizers are ever added. You can find Garden Tone at fine garden centers. Visit espoma.com to find a retailer near you. Garden Tone from Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Have you looked at your lawn lately? I bet you have, huh? Yeah, you have a decision to make. Seed now or wait? Good question.
Seed now or wait? That is describing my lawn.
It is.
Crabgrass is the problem.
Oh, brother.
The crabgrass looks pretty dead right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, got a lot of dead spots.
Crabgrass dropped all of its seed when it died and froze, or basically got hit by a frost. And it said, let's plant for next year. And so all those seeds are sitting in the ground. Problem is if you want to fill in the bare spots where the crabgrass was, how are you going to get that rye or bluegrass or fescue to germinate and grow without being taken over by the aggressive crabgrass later on? It's a tough decision.
It is.
It's a tough decision.
It is.
Because if you don't seed, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to seed.
Yep.
So, but you put down a regular crabgrass control. And we're not talking about the hybrid one where you can seed with it. We'll talk about that later. But you just put down a crabgrass rate, so you're basically reserving that space for other weeds, or you're reserving that space for seed that you would have to put down in late spring. You got to make sure that you're willing to water it, and that if you're willing to do that, you can wait, or you wait all the way till fall and do it at that time. I honestly like the idea of seeding now because the ground is open. You're going to have to get that dead crabgrass up, and you can do that with a thatcher. That works very well in getting that up, and then put down some seed. The key is getting the seed in contact with the soil. So we're going down the path. We're going to seed. But now what do? We have to use that specialty crabgrass control that you can seed with. Don't mess this up.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you put seed down and you put down a regular crabgrass, it doesn't distinguish. It's like, oh, that's a fescue, so we're not going to do it. But there is a type that does. So when a crabgrass control, regular crabgrass control, now don't follow me, there are two types. 99% of them are the one that does not distinguish between grass seed or crabgrass seed. It prevents all seed or most seed from germinating in the soil. It does not prevent broadleaf evergreens. I must be thinking about landscaping.
You are.
Anyway, it doesn't broadleaf weeds like dandelions, for instance, plantain, things like that. It doesn't prevent those. It's mostly grassy weeds and, of course, annual weeds. Now, you need to decide, what am I going to do? And if you're going to seed, you should at least give it a shot and use the crabgrass preventer you can seed with. Because the other alternative, if you put your seed down and you mistakenly put in the regular crabgrass control, it ends up nothing grows. Yep. Nothing grows. And you'll say, that stuff stinks. That seed was no good. Yeah. No, seed was no good. Oh. The other part of this is that crabgrass remains in the soil for a long time. It can sprout late spring, early summer. Again, just as a side note, we recommend 2 applications of crabgrass preventer. So, again, making sure that you get the seed in contact with the soil is absolutely essential.
Yes.
All right, here's a question we get. My lawn is more than 50% weeds. Start all over. Yeah. Don't even try it. You will spend more money trying to renovate that lawn than if you just started from scratch. Mm-hmm. And that means either starting from seed or going right to sod. Again, 50%. Just
you're done.
Give it up. Give it up. Jonathan Green has a unique product where it has its crabgrass active ingredient will control crabgrass even in its later stages. So, for instance, if you don't get out there soon and you miss it, that crabgrass can have its first or second leaf, up to its third leaf stage, and it will still control it. Good. Okay. Again, 2 applications are still required for you to control crabgrass. But if you're going to seed, that means those 2 applications are going to be the fancy-dancy variety that has the seeding and crabgrass control. You got to make sure that you get the right one. If you are seeding, you have to get the crabgrass control that you can seed with. Yeah. Just say that. Mm-hmm. Please don't waste your time at the box store. No. Go to your local garden center. They want to see you succeed. They're not going to have Joe from plumbing all of a sudden manning the seasonal area because they're so busy. You're going to have people that are trained and know what they're doing. If you spend $2 more on a crabgrass control, does it really matter? Does it really matter? Look, and that you'll get the right one and you'll get the best one. And you'll go away with an understanding and knowledge of what to do on your next step. Rather than, I think this is it. Yeah. Sounds like it. Uh-huh. Again, please visit your local garden centers. They're coming out of winter like we are, and that they can't wait to see you. It's like, I haven't seen a customer in 3 weeks.
Where are they?
So when you go in, they're going to be happy to see you. All right. Next segment coming up, we're talking about trimming your roses. Oh, yes. Oh boy, there's another. We need an hour. We need 2 hours for this show. All right, we'll be back in the garden right after this. Fertilome Succulent Potting Mix with EcoPeat is the perfect ready-to-use potting mix for all your succulents. Fertilome Succulent Potting Mix is a blend of sphagnum peat moss, perlite, and EcoPeat. EcoPeat is a natural wood fiber from peat bogs. When added to Fertilome peat moss, it produces a superior professional substrate with an exceptional ratio of air porosity and water holding capacity. Fertilome succulent potting mix will ensure maximum drainage with ideal water retention. It's simply the best succulent mix on the market. Ask for Fertilome by name at your local garden center. Available at Daniel's Garden Center, Sumneytown Pike, Harleysville, Pennsylvania. Gasper's Home and Garden, 316 Tanyard Road, Richboro, PA.
From teaching moments in the garden to heartwarming memories, flowers have the remarkable ability to bring us together. The award-winning Philadelphia Flower Show invites you to a vibrant celebration of our growing community at the Pennsylvania Convention Center, March 2nd to 10th. Take part in the transformative power of gardening. Experience floral exhibits from top designers, the world's largest plant competition, crafts, shopping, activities, and more.
If you're like me, then you absolutely love birds. The Bird Sanctuary at Bloomer's Home and Garden Center has you covered. They're dedicated to the care and feeding of wild birds of all sorts. Want to bring more birds to your yard? Then you got to see this place. Bloomers has a huge flock of feeders, birdhouses, birdseed, and much, much more. Want to feed the birds and not the squirrels? They have this absolutely cool bronze bird feeder that will drive those sneaky squirrels nuts. They'll be moving to the next door neighbor in no time. OMG. Bloomers have these absolutely adorable birdhouses that will turn your yard into the perfect bird B&B. They carry all types of wild bird seed, suet, seed cakes, and mealworms. Bloomer stocks Lyric, Coles, CNS, Pine Tree Farms, and much, much more that will keep those beautiful birds coming back for more. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center is located in Washington Township in Gloucester County. For more information and directions, check them out on the web at bloomers.com. Bloomer's Home and Garden Center, you got to see this place.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. You should hear what we talk about during the breaks. Anyway, if you're curious, call our hotline.
That's right.
We want you to call our hotline at 609-685-1880. Look, roses have gone from snooty black tie hybrid tee formal to now like yoga pants in the grocery store wearing shrub casual roses. And that makes pruning that much harder. It's all about airflow, not the yoga plants, but the roses, okay? Anyway, the roses need to be opened up, and that is this time of the year. I mean, Julio spent all day, was it Saturday or Friday?
It was a Saturday.
Pruning our roses. I want you to let the roses over winter go. Let them get their rose hips. Let them just, you don't want to touch them before winter. I don't particularly like pruning before winter, but after winter. So we're now still in late winter. It's the perfect time. The roses are still dormant, but it's critical. Like, so Julio, you were cleaning up any leftover roses that we had.
Yes, I did.
And they were everything from shrub roses to hybrid teas to
Floribundas.
Dwarf roses.
Yep, dwarf
right?
roses, yep. Drift roses.
And what were you doing?
I was cutting them back so they would be rejuvenated.
Right. But how were you cutting them back?
I was cutting them, it depends on which ones you're talking about. But basically, I was bringing down, let's say a floribunda, right down to about 6 inches.
Okay.
You know, pretty low.
Because they'll flush out new growth and that they will bloom on that new growth. Hybrid teas, it's the same way, where they're thicker stems and the canes, let's use a proper word, canes, and that those canes, you don't want the canes too large. You also want to get them to where they're only about 14 inches off the ground. And that may seem severe, but again, the roses will grow and be 24, 36 inches tall. And you're going to take off about a third of all the new wood. But again, you want to create almost a V shape with the centers empty, no crossing branches. You take off any diseased canes, and you just prune it up so that air free flows through the middle to prevent disease issues. But climbing roses are different. Climbing roses, you don't want to trim them back, but you do want to take off the lateral side branches back. So you want to follow that cane and get rid of those side branches because they aren't necessarily going to produce flowers. So most of them, like any of those wild shoots and where they're overgrown, get them back so that each cane, and again, climbers can get to be 10 feet tall, easy. Ooh. And that you want to just go along the side of it and take those lateral branches off. I'd love to have climbers at my house over the windows, but
me too.
That's another project for me that I don't want to have to tackle. Yes. All right, so you have shrub roses, knockouts. You have any of the varieties that are, that hedge type of rose. Same type of thing. You want to give them airspace, and you're going to cut them back to about 18 inches, and that they'll grow really big and full. And why are you doing this? Because they're going to flower better as if you just left them alone. So you want to basically clear them out, thin them out, get that airspace in there, that air moving. You want to do it periodically, too, to trim them throughout the summer, maybe once, twice. Clean it up. They're self-cleaning, so you don't have to worry about pruning them like you do when, say, your hybrid teas drop their petals. You go in there on a hybrid tea, you would go past the 5th cluster of leaves and then cut it there. That way it would actually bloom more. But again, it's keeping them open and air moving around them because that's when you get disease. And also, that's where you get the mite that causes rosette disease. Yes. But that's not a different show. You'll hear more about that in our final segment. We'll be right back in the garden right after this. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Fertilome Succulent Potting Mix with EcoPeat is the perfect ready-to-use potting mix for all your succulents. Fertilome Succulent Potting Mix is a blend of sphagnum peat moss, perlite, and EcoPeat. EcoPeat is a natural wood fiber from peat bogs. When added to Fertilome peat moss, it produces a superior professional substrate with an exceptional ratio of air porosity and water holding capacity. Fertilome Succulent Potting Mix will ensure maximum drainage with ideal water retention. It's simply the best succulent mix on the market. Ask for Fertilome by name at your local garden center. Available at Daniel's Garden Center, Sumneytown Pike, Harleysville, Pennsylvania. Gasper's Home and Garden, 316 Tanyard Road, Richboro, PA. Your next houseplant is waiting for you in Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse. Bloomers recognizes that houseplant choices are as important to your interior decorating as the fabric on your couch. The right plant, paired with the perfect container, can bring a dynamic change to your home. A houseplant brings life to your world and connects your home's interior to the greater outdoors. Even a small succulent placed on your coffee table has a way of connecting your living room to the Amazon rainforest. How about an air plant in your kitchen? Looking for an indoor flowering plant to add color to your plant palette? Bloomers has a large revolving assortment of flowering beauties. From aglaonemas to ZZ plants, Bloomers Greenhouse is stocked with your next favorite indoor plant. Bloomers carries a large selection of pottery and containers to match your home's decor and make any of your plants more beautiful. Bloomers experts can help you care for your plants and have the fertilizer, insecticides, leaf shine, and specialty soils you need to grow healthy and happy indoor plants. Visit Bloomers Home and Garden Center's greenhouse and make every room in your home a living room. Visit bloomers.com for more information. That's bloomers.com, and we'll see you in the garden.
Welcome back to Bloomers in the Garden. Sharon called the Bloomers in the Garden hotline with a problem growing potatoes in a barrel. Listen to her call.
Hi, my name is Sharon Iwinski. I live in Lodi, New Jersey. Len, my question is, I've been trying to grow potatoes in a barrel. I first put holes in it, and I guess the first year I didn't have enough holes. The second year I put a lot more holes in it, and I'm getting like 2 little marbles. That's all. And I go on to buy the potatoes, and I layered it with soil and straw and soil let it grow. Nothing. What am I doing wrong? Do I still need more air holes in it? It's getting sun. I water it. And this year I got 3 little marbles again. So I read a story where a guy grew them in a wooden barrel. And he tipped it over and got 100 pounds of potatoes. I don't remember what gardening magazine I read it in many years ago. And I'm still striving for that. So now I'm on my 5th year, and hopefully I'm determined to make sure that it works. So maybe you can give me some ideas. I didn't cut the barrel in half. I left the barrel whole. And I'm putting holes in it, and it's got a good drainage, and I put the rocks in it. Is there something I'm doing wrong?
Wow.
So you... First of all, shout out to Lodi.
Yep.
I'm originally from Clifton. Anybody in that area, go to Richfield Farms in Clifton, New Jersey. That's Passaic County, Clifton, okay? And you want to talk to Mary. Ask for Mary. Tell them you heard it from Bloomers in the Garden to go and shop there and get their questions answered. Anyway, Richfield Farms in Clifton. Sharon, let's go through it. Julio, you called.
I called
Sharon.
her. Yeah, I called
Let's get the rundown.
Yeah.
So,
I gotta say something. She's persevering. I mean, she's incredible. This is her 5th year. It's incredible. Good for you, Sharon. Yeah,
you're gonna do it.
Yeah, you're gonna do it. We're gonna get it right. Now she has, she layered her barrel. With the potting mix and then straw, like she was saying, potting mix straw. And then we talked about this, Len,
Stone.
By putting stone at the bottom and
getting drained because you need to get
drainage,
that water. But there's a lot of holes that are drilled into the side of this thing to get air movement. And that here's a couple of things. One, and you said you weren't sure. I've seen this done a few different ways. Recently I saw there's a guy that I think he's in Canada, and he has a drainage pipe put in the center of the pot. And you're saying it's probably a 55-gallon or half of a 55-gallon plastic barrel. That the drainage hole, the drainage pipe has holes and slits all through it so that you can actually feed your potatoes through that, and that it's the same idea, you ready, as the Michael Carr self-watering pots.
Oh, nice.
Okay, it's the same idea, same concept. Now, one thing, it's like, first of all, are you using old potato seeds? If they have gotten really old where they've dried out, could be. The depth, don't, some people plant them deep.
Too deep.
That can have an issue. But I'm more interested in the amount of fertilizer that they're getting. Also, the weather conditions. She said she had them in full sun. But everybody I look, they have them up against the house, and it gets shaded from that. So just make sure they are in full sun, because that's what they want.
One thing we talked about was, getting those seeds in too early. Remember? It was too cold.
Right. Again, potatoes, like anybody who's tried to grow sweet potato vine out in, say, April, if you get hit by a frost, it does not like that cold weather. It really does not like cold weather. So it goes back to soil temperature. It goes also back to pH. What's the potting soil that you're using? Are you using like Miracle Grow peat moss, or get rid of that? You want to use a Coast of Maine. Okay, Coast of Maine has got the best soil. It's a Castine blend where it's a raised bed mix. that's what you want to use. If any of your garden centers around you are master nursery garden centers where they have bumper crop, that's what you want to use. Don't be using like this potting soil that looks like dirt. I had a vendor call on me about buying topsoil and stuff, and he called this stuff potting soil. And really what it was is he sold bulk mulch, and it was the rotted mulch on the bottom of the pile that he didn't know what to do with because he couldn't, sell it as mulch because it was basically rotted wood chips. That is not what you want to use. If it feels like dirt, it is. Sweep it under the rug. You don't want to put it in your barrel. Okay, you want to use something that's good. And that I get this whole straw thing. The straw is gonna help aerate the soil. So you're doing okay. Try to put that pipe in the center of the barrel so that it gives you some airflow across it as well. So you're just putting it in the middle of the barrel, and you're taking all of your soil and putting it all around it, and going in. You're doing the same like lasagna method. You're doing the straw. You want to make sure that there's drainage holes, and those holes are not getting plugged up that are along the side. And if you have drainage on the bottom, which I hope you do, you want to lift that barrel a little bit up the ground so that it can drain and it doesn't get its holes plugged up because it's sitting on top of the ground, and that it works itself into the soil to where it's just plugged up. So you want to make sure, just give it, put a couple of blocks under it just to raise it up so that it's just off the ground just a little bit. I don't think that the wood plastic, I'm not sure whether that would make a difference. I really don't think so. But again, it's make sure you're checking what varieties of potatoes you're planting. Now, if you come back and you tell me that you got those little mini potatoes, they're marble sized. But if you're trying to grow something like, the white Eastern potatoes or something along those lines, then yeah, there's a definite problem. And you want to feed your potatoes. You want to feed them. And if you're using a liquid fertilizer, I don't have the information in front of me of what would be best, but I also know that something from Jack's, it's Jack's Classic might be the best, which is a 20-20-20, which will give you instant food to those potatoes. But also, again, it's you're trying to get the nourishment from the soil. And if you're using a good soil like we recommended, and that, again, is going to be the Castine blend from Coast of Maine or bumper crop, it will have nutrient value in there. It's not just going to be a bag of peat moss with some, water-soluble fertilizer thrown in it. So you want to use that. Anything to add, Julio?
No, I think she's going to be really successful.
I think so too.
I think so.
Yeah. And again, you're doing great.
Yeah.
You're all of a sudden going to come out. You're going to have a harvest like you never dreamed of.
That's right.
And again, make your local garden center, Richfield Farms in Clifton. They have it. They have just under 5 acres that they are actually farming. They also are a full service garden center. And that not only do they know because they have the information, they know because they grow. That's pretty good, huh? That's pretty good. Anyway, also you're asking for Mary. You can ask for Will. That is my nephew. But Mary is the one that you'll see up front. She's the face of the garden center. Yeah. We'll be back in the garden right after this. Some of our most frequent questions revolve around organic container gardening for houseplants, annuals, and of course, vegetables. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend organic potting soil is a lightweight soil mixture made with salmon, blueberry, lobster, and other composts, as well as calcium and chitin-rich lobster shells, sphagnum peat, perlite, and kelp meal. It is a great soil. And Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor organic potting soil is rich in organic material, creating lush, disease-resistant plants that require less watering, less feeding. Its rich, dark brown color provides the perfect balance between water retention and drainage needed for healthy plants. Coast of Maine's Bar Harbor Blend organic potting soil is available at these local retailers: Barlow's, Seagirt, New Jersey; Espen Shades Garden Centers and Greenhouse, Monton, Pennsylvania. Ashcombs Farm and Greenhouse, Mechanicsburg, PA.
Dreaming of a gorgeous garden? Give your azaleas, rhododendron, blueberries, and evergreens a powerful boost with their #1 acid-loving plant food, Espoma Organic Hollytone. Hollytone is a perfect blend of natural, long-lasting ingredients that nourish plants for stronger roots, faster growth, and bountiful blooms. Plus, it's easy to use and safe for people, pets, and planet. Visit espoma.com for a retailer near you and helpful gardening tips. Espoma, a natural in the garden since 1929.
From teaching moments in the garden to heartwarming memories, flowers have the remarkable ability to bring us together. The award-winning Philadelphia Flower Show invites you to a vibrant celebration of our growing community at the Pennsylvania Convention Center, March 2nd to 10th. Take part in the transformative power of gardening. Experience floral exhibits from top designers, the world's largest plant competition, crafts, shopping, activities, and more.
And now it's time for What's Buggin' You?
Finally, I'm a beautiful butterfly!
So what's bugging me? All right. All of my rose companies, I love you, okay? I love what you've brought to the industry. You brought a fearless embrace of roses. But we have an issue, and it's the roses, the shrub roses we had thought were resistant to some of the most major diseases. And one of the worst one is the Rosette. It's a virus that's carried by a mite. What happened over the last 20 years is that when people bought roses 20 years ago, they bought a spray insecticide and disease control because they knew that roses would get an issue, that they would have an issue and they would need to spray them. I think we're at that point, even with shrub roses, that we have to go back to that because they have become they just are sitting and they're attracting the mite that spreads the virus of the rosette. So the mite is the problem because it spreads it from rose to rose to rose to rose. It's the other, the virus itself is an issue. It's incurable. There's no cure for it. But if you can stop the mite from infecting your plants, because that's how it's transferred. So, it's like Dracula. You get a bite from Dracula, you become, a vampire. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. If the mite, and it's microscopic. These things are so small. They do not have wings, but they can float on air currents, and they end up floating down to your next group of plants. It's not good. It's not good. We're looking for systemic insect controls that will control it. Some of again, we have a Thrin. Bifenthrin is definitely one. There's some of them are saying Carbol, but that's 7. I don't believe it works because it doesn't have a good residual, and that I'm not really keen on that. That was one of the colleges recommended that, one of the universities. But I really think bifenthrin absolutely is. So any of the Thrins are going to work. Predatory mites, and this is kind of a mixed thing, where predatory mites will control the population, but the problem is that if you're also spraying, you're going to kill the predatory mites. So yes and no. And the problem is you need to get rid of the host, and the host is that tiny little mite that is spreading the disease, and it's not spider mites, it's a different type of mite that does it. And I would strongly recommend, if you have any type of rose, that you begin acknowledging that you're going to have to spray it. And we're talking about every couple of weeks, because if you want to use a systemic, just like if you're using a antibiotic, that you have to have it in your system for it to work. And that if not, you can use a contact spray, but it's going to have to be a regular spray. You're going to have to do it regularly, and that will, instead of the antibiotic type, that this is a contact, and you have to hit the mite in order for it to work. Regardless, shrub roses that go out the door of your local garden center should be accompanied by some type of insecticide and disease control. Or at the point where the shrub roses have become a carrier like the wild roses used to be. So,
wow,
that's what's bugging me. And I'm sorry to say, but it's again, it's they're used so much. They look so beautiful, and they deserve a place in our landscapes, but not without spraying on a regular basis. So, all right, we've got to take a break. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Len Schroeder from Bloomers in the Garden. Do you have a landscape, garden, or plant question? If so, call or text us using the Bloomers in the Garden hotline. Dial 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. Don't be shy. We want to hear from you. Call or text us and let us know what problems you're facing. Let us know how we're doing. Call or text 609-685-1880. If we use your comment on the air, we'll send you a free Bloomers t-shirt. Call or text us at 609-685-1880. That's 609-685-1880. And we'll see you in the garden. Coast of Maine's Organic Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the best soil for raised bed gardens, planter boxes, and container gardens. It grows amazing vegetables. It is made with a mixture of manure compost, worm castings, lobster and kelp meal, mycorrhiza, green sand, and biochar. It's ready to use straight out of the bag with no need for additional components or tilling. If you love growing fresh and hearty vegetables, herbs, and flowers, Coast of Maine's Castine Blend Organic Raised Bed Mix is the perfect choice for you. At Coast of Maine, we believe in growing organically and buying locally. Castine Organic Raised Bed Mix can be found at these fine stores.
Pickering Valley Feed and Farm, Exton, Pennsylvania. Ashcombe Farm and Greenhouses, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Tony's Farm and Garden, Windsor, New Jersey.
You're listening to Bloomers in the Garden Radio. Listen anytime through your favorite podcast provider, or see and hear us by subscribing to Bloomers YouTube channel. Bloomers in the Garden Radio is heard in Philadelphia and throughout the whole Delaware Valley every Saturday. First, wake up with us at 6 a.m. on WNWR The Word at 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. Tune in at 8 a.m. to Bloomers in the Garden Radio on Talk 860 WWDB. A rebroadcast of Bloomers in the Garden Radio is played each Saturday evening at 5 p.m. on The Word, 95.3 FM and 1540 AM. On Sunday at 8 a.m., we can be heard throughout the New York Tri-State Area on Classic Oldies, 1250 AM WMTR. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the garden.
See me and Julio down by the school.
Me and Julio.
Well, I'll tell you what. My goodness.
I hope you were taking notes today. If not, you can catch us. You know how. We are on all major podcast providers, and you can go to our YouTube channel and please subscribe. If you go on our podcast, please give us a 5-star review. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. We're looking for 5. Yeah, our sponsors want to know that we're effective. We'd like to know too. Anytime that you are in a garden center or that you're in any botanical garden, anything like that, let them know that you listen to Bloomers in the Garden on the radio station that you favor. Julio, big day today.
Oh, big day today, huh?
Oh,
We're getting towards that time, isn't it?
It's starting.
Oh, yes.
I think winter, came in like a lamb. Yeah. It's leaving like a lamb, too, for March.
That's right.
Well, we're on this same time next week, right here in the garden. We'll see you in the garden.
See you in the garden.